Well, the 530i is back. Today what I'm replacing, pretty simple. This car is throwing secondary air injection pump codes. So what I have here is a brand new Pureberg secondary air pump. There we go. I also have a new secondary air valve, and I have the mass airflow sensor for the secondary air pump as well. Since I don't know which part is bad on this car and it's a daily driver that I don't have a day to run diagnostics on, I'm just going to do everything. It's pretty unlikely that it's the valve. It's actually pretty likely that it's this, and not so likely that it's the mass airflow sensor. However, if the pump spins up, then it probably is the flow sensor. The pumps have a pretty hard life, especially when they're sitting in the bumper, so that's going to be my bet. We'll see how it goes, I guess, but first step on this job is jack up the front right corner of the car, and we're going to take off a whole bunch of these little 8mm nuts so we can gain access to the air pump, which is just inside this fender liner. So here we are with the fender liner just peeled back a little bit, and there is our air pump. So it's held in with a couple of rubber isolators and 10mm on the bottom. I think there's 3 of them. Then there's also an air inlet hose and an air output hose. There's a quick disconnect on the output hose. There's also one on the input hose. Those are what I'm going to start with. These hoses you just pinch where there's ribs on the plastic, and then you pull them off. Be careful you don't smash your fingers. If you're not careful, it'll happen. There's an electrical connector on the bottom side of the pump. Again, that just you push the tabs on the outside of it inward and you pull the plug off. And then once that's off, we can take these 10mm nuts off the bottom of the pump and then slide the pump upward, outward, out of that bracket, and we can slide the new one in. So there she is, the old pump, which had water in it. It's probably not too good. So you're gonna have to pull your rubber isolators out of these things. Hopefully they're in decent shape, because you got to reuse them. And simply press them into your new pump. And then install it, the reverse of removal. You can pull the caps off your pump. There we go. That'll make it a little bit easier for install. And hey presto, just like that, we are fully installed. Move up to the valve and the mass air sensor. So here's our secondary air valve. It's got the same kind of push lock connector on it as the air pump did. And then it's also got 2 10mm bolts on it, which hold it to the cylinder head. And down here we have the mass air sensor connected to this little air filter. This is going to involve having to cut that temporary hose clamp and replacing it with a clamp or a zip tie or something, and then there's going to be 2 little Torx screws on that thing that actually free it from the filter assembly. So those look like probably T27s, they might be T25s, but I'm going to start with the air valve, literally just 2 10mm, and it comes right off. So the gasket still looks absolutely perfect, which is what I was counting on. I didn't buy one. I'm going to replace that. Probably before I do that, I am going to tackle this little sensor here, just because I have a little bit more room this way in case something gets a little caught up. So the best way I've found to remove these clamps is to just take your side cutters and snip that little lump off the side of the clamp, and then you should be able to just pull the hose right off of that thing. Then this little electrical connector here is self-explanatory. Tabs on the side, pinch in, pull off, should be good. So I was wrong, there's actually only one Torx on this thing. And it's small, it's a T20. This is a T25 and it's too big. So I'm gonna go back, pull that off. And there's our new one. Fabulous. Goodness me, I just love new parts, don't you? Things look fabulous. Easy as pie, all done. I'm gonna go get my Bavarian Technic and clear everything out and test the secondary air pump just to make sure it's functioning. But we're good to go.